Welcome to this month's installment of Cabaret Conversations. I'm your host, Michael Kirk Lane. A few ground rules before we get started this evening. Those of you who've been in the room for a little bit know I've asked everyone to keep their cameras off and microphones muted. That is for the ease of the archival video that we take of these conversations. And that way you aren't seen reacting to everything as we go. If you have questions that you would like to ask, please send those to me privately using the chat function in Zoom. As we get towards the end of our evening, I will moderate some of those audience questions for our guest this evening. We are going to start tonight with a small clip from Chita's 2005 Broadway performance of A Dancer's Life, and then we will get started with this cabaret conversation. Well, of course, our guest this evening needs no introduction, but how many times in one's life do you get to introduce a living legend and welcome them onto a series you're curating? So our guest this evening, of course, is a legendary performer who has been entertaining audiences for nearly 70 years, starring in West Side Story, Bye Birdie, Chicago, The Rink, Kiss of the Spider Woman, and The Visit.
Yeah.
She has received 10 Tony nominations, winning 2, along with the 2018 Lifetime Achievement Tony Award. In 2002, she was the recipient of the Kennedy Center Honor. And in 2009, President Barack Obama awarded her the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Please welcome to the 92nd Street Y's Cabaret Conversation, Chita Rivera.
Hello.
Miss Rivera, welcome to Cabaret Conversation.
Don't you call me Miss Rivera.
I shan't.
No, you call me Chita.
All right. Thank you, Chita, for joining us this evening.
Yeah, that's why I cut off calling Chita, just so that Chita sounds more, friendly.
Well, I've always found you in our meetings to be very friendly when you've come to the Laurie Beachman Theater, and I've gotten to meet you there, or when I've seen you when I've been performing with our mutual friend, Leslie Carrera Rudolph.
Right.
So it is
what a wonderful place that is downstairs at the Laurie Beachman Theater. It is just a warm and comfortable room, and I've always loved it down there.
Well, I always love welcoming you there, and I love welcoming you to our virtual 92nd Street Y tonight at the School of Music.
Yeah. I've been dying to do that. I've almost done it several times, but the 92nd Street Y was something you always wanted to do because it was it's such an interesting show with very interesting people.
It has been everything at the 92nd Street Y is such a joy to attend and be a part of. And in my time there, I found everyone there to be welcoming. And as I've started this series, nothing but supportive. So thank you for coming tonight and to talk about your experience in the world of nightlife and cabaret, as well as the career that we all know. But for those of us in New York who've been blessed to see you on the smaller, more intimate stages in the city.
Well, I'm sure it's nice for some people to see me and go, she's alive. She's alive. That's a long time that I've been in the business, but it's been fabulous, and I've loved every moment. I've been very, very fortunate to work with amazing people, amazing dancers, just a wonderful situation that I've learned a lot from, and I hope that I've given a few lessons myself.
I think every time you are on stage is a masterclass.
Oh, thank you.
Every time I've seen you, whether it be Broadway or down at 54 Below in your concert performances, it's an education to see you every time.
Well, you know what? I really think that I have been extremely fortunate and blessed to have, my friends are the kind of friends that I would wish on everybody. They're amazing people as human beings. And they're normal human beings. I mean, we all have many faults. We have all kinds of things that are wrong with us, but we find ways to live our lives with other people and learning from other people. And so it's really been very exciting. I mean, I've been able to do theater, play the regular Broadway theaters. But, when, if I may,
of course,
go into this nightclub business. I remember clearly going into Chicago, and I had been asked before to do clubs. And I was scared because I said, well, you have to be yourself in a club. And I don't know who I am. I play all these other characters in the theater, and that's the way I like it. I can hide behind the characters. I can learn from them. I can apply them to myself as I grow. But it came to Chicago, the show, the original show, Chicago, and we were rehearsing, but it was the very first day, and we read through the script. And it was exciting. And so we had our 5-10 minute break or whatever it was. And we were in another room. Gwen was practicing her crocheting that she had to do in the show. And I was talking to a bunch of kids or something. And then somebody comes in and says, Gwen, would you come out? And so Gwen went out, and it was something funny about it. Well, to make a long story short, and a story that I don't totally remember all the reasons for, except the main reason, and that was Bob Fosse had just had a heart attack.
Oh, my.
And it was our first day of rehearsal, and Lisa and I had just moved from California. We'd just gotten an apartment on the West Side, and rented our furniture. And so, it was very, very interesting and very determined. But Bob had a heart attack. He was rushed to the hospital, and Gwen went. And we didn't find out later until later that day that it would take some time for Bobby to heal and yada, yada.
Of course.
So, and so blackout, I go home and I say, what do I do? Well, fortunately, I have, as I said before, great friends. And a couple of them, well, 3 of them were Ron Field, that ain't bad. Fred Ebb.
That ain't bad either.
That ain't bad. And John Cantor. And they came to me and said, let's do a club act. And I went, I can't. I'm still nervous. I don't know what to do. I wouldn't know I'd be naked standing up. And sure enough, they talked me into it. And you want to know, I learned a huge lesson that the size of the theaters depend a lot on your show. They have their own charm.
Mhm.
When I say theaters, I don't just mean theaters, I mean rooms. I mean cabaret rooms. And there I was, Cheetah, up on this stage that doing a show that was written by Fred Ebb, John Cantor, and directed by Ron Field with Tony Stevens, one of your greatest dancers and people, and Chris Chadman, and both of them amazing. And I started to learn about Cheetah. I started to learn about who I was. And thanks to Freddie and John and Ron, and then I went on to other people. Tony set an act for me. And I played all over the country, learning about myself and about audiences, how different audiences are in different rooms.
Some cabaret performers have been known to say that they treat the audience as their scene partner in their shows.
Yeah.
How do you approach the relationship with the audience in the small rooms?
Well, I believe in letting them know that it's me.
Mm-hmm.
And well, Freddie taught me everything I know, because we opened the show with some fabulous number. It was a Latin beat, and then I would say something like, "Good evening, I'm Chita Rivera." Well, I'm not really Chita Rivera. I'm really Dolores Conchita Figueroa del Rivero. That's who I really am. And you want to know something? I know what you came here to see. And so I'm just going to let you know and that was Freddie going into the minds of the audiences. And I would say, would you hand me my first instrument? And Tony would hand me the maraca. And I would just stand there and I would shake the maraca and I would go, "This is part of what you want to see, don't you?" And then I'd say, "Can I have the other thing?" And then the Latin beat would get hotter and hotter. And then I would get a tambourine. And then I would sing La Bamba. And then I would do the obvious thing for a Latin girl to do. And then I'd say, "Okay, we got that out of the way. And now let's get on with the show." And then I would do everything that I wanted to do and special material that Freddie and John wrote and choreographed, of course, by Ron Field. And so I thought that was such a clever way to introduce yourself to a nightclub audience, especially when they don't know you when they don't know you, period.
Well, they think you know you. They have the idea coming in, but it's a different art form that lets you show a different side of yourself to an audience.
Absolutely, and it's such a it makes it possible if somebody drops their orange juice or their vodka and tonic, or they sneeze, or it suddenly breaks that wall.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to break it too much because you don't want the audience to feel they're paying for their performance. You have to make sure you give them a show.
And you remain in control.
That's exactly right. And audiences are not stupid. They're smart. They're really smart. And you have to let them know that they are smart. You appreciate them as they appreciate you. And it's really... wow, I learned so much about me in doing the very first nightclub place I played was up on 71st Street.
Was that the grand finale?
The grand finale. I loved the grand finale. It was a gay bar, and we opened it up to an everybody bar.
I mean, the Times called that show the hottest ticket in town.
Well, what a smart thing. And that was Ron. Ron said, "Let's play this little place that mostly guys go to." And when you think about it, a smaller place is more logical.
Mm-hmm.
but he took it because it was a place that that audiences felt their own comfort in, and it was just, I can't tell you. I mean, Joan Rivers played there after I played. A lot of fabulous people played the grand finale and the one out in LA. What is it? What? Studio One. Oh, that's right. Studio One. Mm-hmm. Studio One. Do you remember Studio One?
I don't know Studio One.
Oh, wow. Well, it was a fabulous dance hall. Fabulous. And they had a little tiny room in the back. I don't know how many people it held, but not a lot. But we got in there and we tore that place up. I had gorgeous guys with me, which I always do.
Of course, as you should.
I got nothing against the girls, but I like the guys. So.
As do I. So I would love gorgeous guys with me all the time.
Hello. And then we extended the stage and we made it important. Mm-hmm. And everybody played there. After Peter Allen played there. It was just a blast. So I can really thank nightclubs, the small room at the I can't think. Studio. Studio, yeah. But there were other rooms that were really small rooms and very uppity, but in hotels. Mm-hmm. And it's a different class of people. Or should I say class, a different kind of person. And it was just a blast.
Well, each of the rooms has their own personality.
Absolutely. I mean, just as you have yours, I think everything has its own. It has its own look. It has its own personality. And you have to appreciate it. You have to realize that it's you are a guest there. Mm-hmm. In that room, I always kind of think everything is alive in some way,
Yeah.
In some way. It certainly gives back, Carlton, Lisa. Huh? The Carlton, the Ritz-Carlton.
Yes, okay.
Is that where Bobby Short played?
Bobby was at the Carlisle.
Carlisle, that's it. Was at the Carlisle. No, it's my honey. Fabulous room. But when I walked into that room, I went, whoops, how in the world am I going to talk to these people all the way over there? And these few people right in the middle, which is where you want to be, and this tiny little stage. Well, you find a way, and you find jokes, and you find another thing out about yourself. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
You mentioned Bobby Short, and I know you've talked before in other interviews about seeing him at the Carlisle.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Are there any other people who are predominantly nightclub performers who you remember flocking to see or being eager to go see in those days?
Mabel Mercer.
Oh, Mabel.
She was one. She made me want to delve into music and find out who these guys were that wrote this particular song. Her lyrics were, she could sing lyrics like nobody else. And she never got up from that piano.
That stool. She sat there.
She sat on that stool, and it was and there's several, but I'm terrible.
Sinatra said he learned everything he knew about phrasing from Mabel.
There you go. She was the very first one that I clearly remember. And of course, Bobby, who was just, he had that personality and that smoky voice. And, they gave you imagination also. Without giving you all the information, they allow you, they respect their audience. It's fabulous.
And as you said, you have to respect the audience in the small rooms. You're there together in such a small, intimate space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, it's so sweet to see how nervous they can be, you know, and it's up to you to keep them nervous if that's what you want, or make them just relax. But you don't want them to relax so much that they think they're on the stage and you're in the audience.
Right.
You know, that's the only thing that I don't like sometimes about because England isn't like this, but America is now, where the audience is a very big part of the show. I think kids feel as though they don't, their show isn't good if they don't get a standing ovation at the end. Well, that doesn't, you know, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it wasn't always like that.
Well, no, definitely. That's happened more in the last 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I circle back and ask, because you mentioned about working with Candor and Ebb on your first cabaret shows, your first nightclub acts. I would be remiss if I didn't ask about what it was like having them write the specialty material for you, writing losing or pain or trash.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, they knew my life, just as Terrence McNally did. You know, they knew what I was lacking. They knew what my personality was. They knew what made me laugh. They knew what embarrassed me. They knew what was going around, you know, in the theaters and the clubs and stuff. And they knew that I had been in the theater forever, and I'd been nominated forever, and everybody else what was holding I always say, gee, I wonder how my Tony is that Bernadette is holding right now. Or somebody else, you know. And that's how I dealt with it, because it was funny until Freddie and John wrote that song, Losing. And then when I won the Tony, I was more upset that I couldn't use that piece of material anymore than it was if I hadn't won the Tony. It's so funny. Life is really so funny. It's great. It's just great. And you learn so much about yourself. Pain, for instance, was a phenomenal number that actually anybody could do, could have, because everybody has had pain. But to see a dancer talk about her pain with two other dancers on crutches, that's funny.
I've seen it on YouTube, and I chuckled hysterically throughout it.
It is funny because you're just so cheerful and lying up top. And when it hurts, it just hurts. And so Freddie and John knew. They just knew what was funny. They also knew what was passionate, you know, really European fashion passionate, you know. So I lucked out. I seriously lucked out with all those guys.
Well, I have to say, when I was doing my research for tonight, one of my favorite quotes I found shows that they felt the same way. In an interview in the Washington Post in 2002, Fred Ebb said, "One of the highlights of my life was the nightclub act I wrote for Chita. I gave it to her as a Christmas present, and we put it up at the grand finale. There were lines outside the club. She is, all in all, a joy."
Oh, no, I can't breathe. Well, I mean, every Valentine's Day, I miss him more than anything, because every Valentine's Day I got a card from Freddie, you know, and that's just he's my buddy, you know, but he was the epitome of friendship and love and artistry and humor and caring, you know. And John, in his way, and they're like night and day. It's like taking my hand and flipping it over. You know, that's why they're so perfect together. John was quiet. Freddie was not, you know. Freddie was that, you know, that extreme fabulous end of the number, pop, you know. And John just played this amazing music that he composed himself and sang it with Freddie, and was certainly the backbone. The two of them together were amazing.
Well, legends. And
well, I used to think a legend. Remember when the fabulous mink coat was a legend? They showed Elizabeth Taylor in her minked coat, and they called her a legend. And everybody said to me, would say to me, how do you feel about being a legend? I said, well, it feels like I'm dead, frankly speaking. Aren't legends old and gone and dead? And then I said, of course, if I got one of those mink coats, I wouldn't mind being a legend.
Well, of course not. So you've talked about collaborating with Kander Nebb and with Ron Field, and you've continued to work with some amazing artists in the cabaret nightclub world. Michael Kreuter is your current musical director.
Oh, Michael. Well, now you're talking about, all of these people that make me happy. If I want to sound really selfish, I eat it up. I was a lucky girl when Michael Kreuter came across my path and I came across his. Outside of being not bad to look at.
Not at all.
He could play those drums. And on top of it, he's a phenomenal organizer. He keeps things together. He keeps the group happy. I've known Michael, I don't know how many years now. I don't even bother to count. It seems like I've known him forever. And so I can't wait for this thing to finish so that he and Jim and
Gary's with you a lot.
And Gary, yeah, absolutely. I miss those guys. They're like the other half of me.
How do you approach now, and I know we've got some younger cabaret artists who are watching this evening. How do you approach your collaboration with your music directors and your musicians for your nightclub acts?
Well, first of all, with fun. We go in and second of all, we love each other. And so we trust each other. And everybody has a say. If somebody loves a song, they pretty much know whether or not I can sing it. Certainly Michael does. And we put our shows together just like that. I mean, I'll say, what should the rundown be, Michael? And then Jim would say, I love this song because it has a beautiful section in it, just right for a bass player. And of course, Jim is a phenomenal bass player. Yes. And so we try it. That's a nice thing about a club act too. You can replace things. And Freddie said, never, at the very beginning, never expect anything from them. Never, you are there to serve the audience. Don't expect them to know you, everybody in that room to know you, because they don't. And why should they? I mean, just because you've been around forever doesn't mean they have, or, and that's a good thing to understand, and a good place to be. Just meet your audience like you're meeting for the very first time. And if somebody remembers something from somewhere else, that's just another jewel in the crown.
Do you, as a singer, do you approach the material differently for the cabaret stage versus acting on Broadway?
Well, first of all, thank you for calling me a singer, because I don't think I'm a singer.
Well, I think you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you. No, I don't really. a nightclub audience is closer to you. They can see the veins, they can see the pain, but you've still got to sing those lyrics. You've got to respect that lyricist and that composer, and you have to tell their story as they meant it to be told. And being lucky enough to have geniuses, and I call them all geniuses that I've worked with, the Jerry Hermans and all of them. If it's a song about sorrow, you have to show your heart is hurting. You have to, even if you have to pull it back a little bit. You also have a fabulous person with a microphone in the back that can pull your voice in, pull your voice out. I never appreciated the sound until I, later in life, because I come from the school where the Merman school, wah, you just open your mouth, it comes out. And then I went through the 6 microphones downstage, and then we came to the microphone that you can't see
right
now, and I went through the one that you hold, which is also in clubs. And there's a place for all of it. You just have to put it in the right place,
Out of the rooms you've played, especially in New York City, do you have a favorite?
They all are. Well, I told you about the personalities. I love the grand finale because it was the first. And here I go with names. Jim's room. Oh,
Birdland.
I love Birdland. I love Jim. I love even the Caruso. Even the downstairs they fixed up, and they've got
the new Birdland Theater. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, it's fabulous. But I've had some wonderful times there. And when I went from Birdland to 54 Below, I'm a very faithful person, and so I'd rather say nothing at times than to say anything that makes something look discolored or anything. And so I had to get used to 54 because I felt unfaithful to Birdland. It's so funny. It's so weird. I guess it depends upon the kind of person you are, foolish or not. And but I love 54. I think it's a terrific place. It's very different from Birdland. Very, very different. And, so all the rooms, the Carlisle is small. That's really, really small. Sometimes people put things on the front of the stage and that you don't like to reprimand an audience, but on the other hand, you'd like to kick it off the stage. You know what I mean? Because they should know better. And every once in a while, somebody would put their elbow up and Carlisle is very tiny, and those seats down front are almost sideways because, by the time you finish your food, you either turn around or you feel self-conscious. It's very tiny. But where else have I played in the city? I think
it's not a cabaret room, but I had the pleasure of seeing you at Carnegie Hall, which was such an amazing evening.
Well,
the night before the election 4 years ago.
Oh my God. Well, You can't turn your life around, but in a way, I kind of wish we could turn that around. But wow, what an extraordinary night that was, because I was in the room of all rooms, in New York City. And when you played Carnegie Hall, it comes with its own reputation. There are a lot of amazing notes still in the air flying around. There are a lot of amazing dance steps still on that stage. I remember the last time one of the times I went was to honor Lena Horne. That was a trip. I mean, me honoring Lena Horne with other people, mind you. What a wonderful thing that was for me. And then I found myself looking up and seeing her in a box, looking at me. Come on. I mean, that's wonderfulness. That's wonderfulness.
That's pure joy.
And that's pure, simple joy. And this is what I want the kids. I want them to appreciate every single moment. Every single moment they can, to embrace their lives in this world, because all of these experiences last in your mind and your heart forever, and they help make you who you are. And so that was pretty amazing. It almost leaves you speechless.
We talked earlier about Mabel and Bobby, but I don't know if everyone who's watching knows, you still go out and see a lot of nightclub acts and a lot of cabaret. I've often seen you at Susie Mosher's program, or at Jim Caruso's show, or at one of Leslie Carrera Rudolph's shows. Are there artists who are out there right now that in the cabaret nightclub world that excite you?
Oh dear, I don't go that much. Leslie does, God. And Susie, oh my God, is Susie funny? And she sends pictures of her baby.
Oh, isn't Hunter adorable?
God. Hudson,
sorry. I said his name wrong. Oh, she'll never forgive me.
Oh, well, I'm glad it was you and not me. And she, well, both of them deserve that wonderful child. And that child is really, I'd love to be around to see how that child turned out, because she actually sent a picture of him watching on a bed, watching the prologue with Lisa's father in it. And he was he was mesmerized by that film and the dancing. And she said that he wanted to see it 4 times or something. He kept wanting to see that film clip. I mean, it's the cutest thing.
And that's the power of the music and the art.
It's the power of the art. And it's also the power of the people who are artistic, that are like Susie, who talks to their child, who explains it, who examines it and helps him understand it. I mean, that was really extraordinary. It made me laugh so hard. We told Tony about it. Tony Morton did, Lisa's dad.
Well, one of my pod group's activities during this pandemic has been watching all of the old Kennedy Center honors together. And can I ask you about that experience of being honored at the Kennedy Center?
Well, it's I don't know. It's sometimes it's like an out of body experience, except it makes you grow. It adds another color to your canvas of who you are. Lisa was sitting right directly behind me, and President Bush was sitting on my level, leaning with his arm across the chair, saying to Lisa, "And that's your mom." And aren't you proud of your mom? And he and Lisa made good friends that night because he was so understanding about the whole situation. I mean, and I remember a picture of myself sitting very tall because I was in the first balcony. And it was a moment of such pride. I only wish my mother had been alive, to have been there. But my family saw it. And it's pride. It's also a responsibility that you welcome. If you're gonna be good and you wanna stay out there and you wanna, pass on the word, then you gotta be good. You have to work hard and respect what you do and respect the other actors in the business and most of all, respect the business. Mm-hmm. And that was a night that I will never, ever forget, I felt very special. But fortunately, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, fortunately, the size of my head is the same, thank God.
To piggyback on that, how about, and I've watched this clip a few times this week preparing for tonight, the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Obama.
Well, I fell in love for about a couple of minutes. He's very easy to fall in love with. He is both of them are the warmest, kindest, most sincere. You really believe when he looks in your eyes that he is looking at you, not at the moment, not at the room that we're in, not at the medal, not at how I should feel, but somebody that you really respect putting something around your neck that you really don't believe you deserve. You really don't, but you're a fool not to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. You're an idiot. It's a moment that's important that goes by. You just don't make it your life. You have to continue. And when I said before, those are moments of responsibility. You have to attempt to stay at that level as long as you can, as long as you are doing it. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. And I think you've stayed at that level throughout your entire career. You're a role model to all of us in the arts. I've just got goosebumps when you said role model, because you sure hope that you are. Otherwise, why are you doing it? If you're not getting to somebody's heart, if you can't make somebody cry because what you're saying is very sincere. I don't know. I'm a lucky gal. Well, I'm lucky that you joined. I have one question that I always end with, and then I have a small clip that we will show. And then I have a few questions that have come in from those who are watching, and we'll end with the audience questions. But the question I always end my segment with for Cabaret Conversations, and the answers have varied greatly over the course of the series. What is Cabaret?
Oh, well, first of all, it's a song that Freddie and John wrote.
Yes.
Very good. And that Liza sang. And, but it is an art form that is as serious and as important as any other art form we have, if you take it as it is meant to be. And that is seriously. It's a way to get closer to your audience and for them to know you, as opposed to a character. Within that art form, you can play many characters, but you must enter that art form as yourself, period. And I kind of like that answer. Nobody has ever asked me that question, and it's a great question. And I'm going to get off my conversation with you and ask Lisa if it makes any sense at all, because she's a very good critic.
It makes complete sense, and it was a fantastic answer.
I really hope so. I would love to ask you what you thought, but you give it away, and you can't do that because you have to ask.
Well, I'll send it to Lisa afterwards. I'll send my answer.
Send it to. I would love to hear it, and I swear to God, if nobody will ever ask me that again. No, that's your question.
Oh, well, Chita, it has been such an honor to have you with me. We're going to see a little clip from Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, the special that this benefit you did for them that aired this summer during the pandemic. You filmed it a few years ago and it aired this summer. We'll watch that. And then we have a few questions from our audience.
Happily. Okay. I'll see you in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta learn how not to see what you see. The slice of hell you call your life is harsh and mean. So why not lie beside me on a movie screen? Why must you see what you see? And if you find that you'll land in jail, a little fantasy will not fail. It's just as simple as ABC. Come up here. Play with me, play with me. Immigrant goes to America, many hellos in America. Nobody knows in America, Puerto Rico's in America. It's good. Isn't it grand? Isn't it great? Isn't it swell? Isn't it fun? Isn't it nowadays? There's men everywhere, jazz everywhere, booze everywhere, life everywhere, joy everywhere. Nowadays. No, I know I'm wise, but I love my life and all that. I said, all that jazz.
So wonderful.
Now, I ask you, there's a mic, there's that mic conversation, and it was perfect. And besides, it was Ron Field that opened my act one time that he did, because he did several acts for me, with the usage of the microphone with the cord that you could fall all over if you didn't choreograph the microphone. So everything does have a life, because Ron Field then choreographed one for Bernadette, and it was the cord getting caught in everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very interesting concept. And all those songs are Freddie and John, practically. Isn't that great?
It's so fantastic. Well, we do have a few questions from our audience that they have sent me in the chat as we have been going today. Merle wanted me to remind you that you played at Fine Signs at the Regency as well, one of the rooms. One of the questions that came in is from Deborah, and she would love to hear more about your start in the business. And did you come from a musical family?
Well, I actually came from my dad. Yes, the answer is yes, Chita. Good. Then I'll explain. My dad played with Harry James. He was in the Navy band. He played clarinet. And I had an opera singer as an aunt in Puerto Rico, a cousin in Puerto Rico, Diplo, who it was Puerto Rico's greatest comedian. And he was on television, and he did movies and nightclubs. And so, yes, I am from a musical family. My brothers and my sister, Julio, Armando, and Lola, they're all musical, but they did not go into the business. And Carmen.
The next question comes from Meg. And she was surprised to hear that you didn't consider yourself a singer, because she thinks you're an awesome singer. But she wants to know if you think, because you don't consider yourself a singer, that maybe makes you more free in your musicality and your storytelling. I
hope not. I hope that the storytelling comes, all of that comes from the heart and the head. That's what I hope. It has, because you can stand there. I loved it when Freddie made Liza stand and put her hands behind her back. And she could only sing with nothing moving except the story that she had to tell. And that's a great feeling. The silent moments are, I know I can hold a note, but I would like to sing like Mabel Mercer. You know what I mean?
But Mabel was all about the connection to the lyric more than anything else.
That's it. That's the only thing that there is. You're not selling yourself. You're selling the song and the story. So thank you. Is it Meg?
That was Meg, yeah.
Thank you, Meg, for thinking for saying I'm a singer. Yeah. I sound like a guy most of the time.
We have one last question this evening from Margaret. And Margaret wants to know if you can talk about your friendship and working relationship with Gwen Verdon.
Well, first of all, Margaret, I'm glad that you care about that, because it was a wonderful relationship. And, sometimes when you meet your heroes, or you meet the people that you really have a sincere, strong feeling about and respect, you're a little disappointed. So I try to stay clear of that. But with Gwen, I remembered seeing her on television in movies. She was such an amazing dancer, first of all. Technically, she was amazing. So she did her job there. Then God gave her this red hair and this beautiful face and this sense of humor that nobody else could touch. It was hers. Nobody else could be as funny as Gwen. And also, she could do the sexiest movement. I've said this through my whole life. The sexiest movement, and there wasn't a vulgar moment in any of it. She would just be a sexy gal, and but when I finally found myself standing next to her in Chicago with the drum, which was it was how do you describe a drum? It's a set that comes from the basement up, and then the set can, depending on the designer, move forward or whatever, and it's covered with this rotunda, and these doors open, and there I am standing next to her, not on television anymore, not in my head anymore, because I don't dream. I'm a doer. I'm not a dreamer. And pardon me. And we are doing a number that Bob Fosse choreographed entitled Two Dancing as One. How can you ask for anything better than to be put on a stage with a Gwen Verdon and you're asked to mimic exactly what she does? And I do it. And we become two. We actually become one, but we're standing like that, and they didn't compare. That was the greatest thing about Chicago. We never had an argument. We never, felt any other way, but we couldn't wait to get to work that night, to work with each other. And Fosse was happy with what we did. How can you ask for anything better than that? I don't think you can, artistically.
Fantastic.
So I guess anything else about Gwen? We certainly respected one another, and we clowned on stage. Now, I'm not saying this for everybody to do it, but if you can get away with it without an audience noticing or anything like that, or you destroying the play, Gwen and I were such bad girls, but we had a blast. We loved each other. So that when I finally did my club act, that Graziella Daniele, who was like my soul sister, choreographed and directed, she did what is the name of the song? I've forgotten it that fast. When I imitated Gwen, that's what. Oh. When I imitated her, and Graziella put a spot in the place that Gwen would be, and I started to imitate her in the song, and the audience got it just like that, just like that. Graziella gave that to me. Yeah,
and I got to see you do that at 54, and what a wonderful moment.
Isn't that a wonderful way to appreciate somebody, to make them, let the audience have some of that, share it with the audience, and then it's entirely a new number, practically. And it's an old number, it's just good stuff.
And you find a new way to reinvent it in the moment.
That's the art. That's the art. And when material is great material, when it's artistic, you can put it in all sorts of places, but they have to be the right places. You have to be artistic of it, and you can't knock the creator. To me, the person that created that moment is the number one. If you do it after that, then to me, this is just me. You are the second artist that did it, but the first one that breathes air into that character from that script, to me, gets the credit. I don't know.
Chita, thank you so much. This has been a privilege and an honor to have you as part of the series. For our audience, if you are interested, our next Cabaret Conversations is December 7th with Cabaret legend Sidney Meyer. But again, Chita, thank you for being a part of Cabaret Conversations at the 92nd Street Y.
And thank you for being so wonderful yourself and making it. I felt so rotten this morning, and I feel so much better now. So that's thanks to you and to all your listeners. Okay.
Well, thank you so
To the
much.
arts. Lots of love.
To the arts.
Bye-bye.
Good night, and good night,
God
everyone.
bless.